Hello and welcome to Water Within Astrology. My name is Carly and we are here today to talk about the full moon in Aquarius building on July 29th, 2026 at 9:36 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. So adjust your time according to wherever you are located on the planet. But this full moon is nothing short of intense, and the word epic is coming to mind because epic is one of those words that feels like it could go either way, right? Like this could be an epic failure or it could be an epic victory, right? So whatever this is, it's got big energy because we've got two big players involved. The sun is conjunct Jupiter exactly, which is known as the Jupiter Cassini, meaning the planet which is conjunct with the sun, which is on the sun, is known to be in the heart of the sun and empowered with the light of the sun. On the full moon, Jupiter having this happen is really auspicious, but also when the sun and the moon, when Jupiter and the sun come together, that's said to be the most lucky day of the astrological year. I think this moment of Jupiter and the sun coming together at the full moon is infusing Jupiter with this energy of the full moon in Aquarius, because as many of us know, we have this grand formation in the sky right now known as Barbeau's basket, and while the exact configuration has passed, we had it on July 20th, 19th, 20th, 21st, we still have Jupiter moving forward from where it was in its place in its 4 degrees, so 2 degrees ago. Now it's at the sun. Before it gets too far out of that formation, it's getting infused with that light of the sun, that full moon energy of Aquarius, and also kind of remembering this imprint of Jupiter opposite Pluto as well. So this Jupiter's moving on, and it's taking with it these codes as well into its next synodic cycle, right? Until it comes around again to the sun, which will be in a year. So really, really, really interesting energy. That's the first thing, sun and Jupiter conjunct. And then we have over here moon and Pluto conjunct. They are 2 degrees away, but that is still a very powerful conjunction. And what I think is really interesting about this is Pluto is there, right? This is the god of hell. This is the god of the underworld. This is Hades, Pluto. He is known as well as the devil, right? The god of hell, the king of hell. And what number is associated most with the devil? Right? 666. The moon is at 6 degrees, the sun is at 6 degrees, and then Jupiter is at 6 degrees. And then the god of hell is standing over them, 2 degrees ahead of them. 2 degrees behind them, kind of like the big boss man, right? Like he's the mafia boss, and then these are his like guys up front that are just like, what up? Like, we're here to pack a fucking punch. We're here to collect what's owed. We're here, like straight up mafia vibes, because that is Pluto. He is bringing a reckoning. Every time we see him, he is going to ask for a reckoning, and the reckoning is with our shadow aspects, right? The things that we hide in the dark. Look at this too. Pluto and the moon, right? These are dark energies. They're more so feminine energies as well. Pluto could go either way, I'd say. But Pluto is about darkness and death, and so I think that's inherently very feminine, especially since the only sign that Pluto rules over is Scorpio, which is a feminine water sign. And these are two feminine bodies, right? The moon represents the feminine. It's the opposite of the sun. It's the reflective quality, the void, the darkness. Again, darkness. The yin, right? And the yang over here. Jupiter is very much associated with kings, leaders, masculine figures. He's Zeus. And so, King of Mount Olympus. And he's also associated with like growing and rising, and I would say yes, it's a masculine energy, but the sun, especially paired with the sun, and especially when Jupiter is in Leo, there is a very masculine energy to it. And so there's a king archetype over here in Leo, masculine perhaps, but more outwardly fiery, right? Leo fire. And then we have the Aquarian Pluto, moon, feminine, intuition, but intuition's more like a Cancer thing, but the Pluto is, and Aquarius is psychic abilities and hidden talents, hidden abilities, hidden technologies in the body is what I'm getting to about it, because reviving old technologies, right? Perhaps from another life or perhaps another lineage, right? There are many people that believe that Atlantis was real and that we all have Atlantean ancestors, and I don't have any evidence to support or deny that, so why not? But I do love this idea of humanity having this really interesting and crazy ancestry and hidden history that could be true, could be not true, you never know anymore, right? We really don't know anything anymore, and that's kind of where we're at. And there's this Aquarian floating out in space perhaps vibe, where maybe a lot of us, especially with that last year and a half of Pisces North Node, we're disassociating and escaping and whatever, and now we're maybe just out in space after that year and a half of whatever happened with Pisces, and it was now we're, because one way or another you've either disassociated yourself out of a physical presence, or you've floated so far into the spiritual realms that you're not so tethered to this earth in that way either, but it's not necessarily a bad thing. But it's always important for us to stay grounded, and so there could be this feeling of just floating in space, and what is the perception and perspective that we're getting from that place, right? That's kind of what we're needing to pay attention to at this time of the full moon, because when the sun and the moon are opposite each other, it's illuminating the unconscious. It's illuminating things that we don't normally have access to. That is why it can be so disorienting for people, and it can be so shocking and whatever. It can be, this, especially with Pluto here, we have this moment of this unconscious realm being brought up into the consciousness, and maybe we aren't prepared for that. Maybe we are. Maybe it's, life-changing, because Pluto is known for being life-changing. This isn't just an overnight little hiccup. This is life-altering stuff, and we're entering into eclipse season. So the nodes of fate switched from Pisces North Node to Aquarius North Node on the 26th, so just a couple of days ago. And that means for the next year and a half, we have big Aquarius themes. And we also have that Jupiter in Leo opposite and South Node in Leo. So North Node in Aquarius, South Node in Leo. We got a lot of opposition going on here. One more thing that I just noticed too is that we have Juno, who happens to be an asteroid named after the wife of Zeus, who in mythology, Zeus and Juno, or Hera, really had a hard time. They were very toxic, and they would cheat on each other and kind of get revenge on each other and come back together and whatever, just crazy toxic power dynamics and jealousy and whatever. And there's again this opposition, and Jupiter is there. That's crazy. And then to top it all off, right, we have all this opposition between this masculine and feminine, even though Aquarius is technically very masculine as well, especially ruled by Saturn and Uranus. Those are the ruling planets of this full moon. They are definitely not very feminine. They're definitely not, Saturn is the lord of time and karma, and he is actually, I would say, the best example of the divine masculine. Whenever, even though he is a malefic planet, he's able to hold and be grounded and stay and not get in arrogance and not get in power games. Like, he's just real. And then there's Uranus, which is the breakthroughs, and it's the pushing the boundaries, and it's the breaking the status quo, and it's the weird guy, and it's the kind of like, inventor guy that's like maybe a weird hermit that doesn't come out because he's so dedicated to his craft. And Saturn also has this, theme of being the outlier, being the outcast, being the, weird one. The witch wound is associated here. So Aquarius, when we look at it, and we look at it when it's dealing with these feminine bodies, the moon, Juno, and Pluto, I would say this is a dark feminine, and this is a woman scorned, and this is a woman who is psychic and also has been cast out and has been made to feel like she is crazy, or like she, whatever, like she is just, not what I'm getting, and always what I get with Capricorn, Aquarius, and these dark feminines is like the scapegoat, right? Like, these people have been scapegoated, and these archetypes have been scapegoated so that these other good archetypes, right, like Venus and like the good girl like Virgo and the Virgin and all this, it's like these types of archetypes are exalted and glorified, while these others are scapegoated. And so that's just the way of the world, right? But this is what we're seeing in this opposition, and I think it's a very strong masculine versus feminine, which I don't like to say that, but we all know that's what's happening right now, and it's a very deep psychological battle that's happening between the genders, but also like within us, and we're all learning how to balance, and we're all getting a chance to really get into the nitty-gritty of like, okay, what are my belief systems about this other, right? This other, which is, if you're a female, maybe the male, or whatever you consider to be the other, because I know this is not about gender, and this is not about like, with Aquarius, it's all about eclectic. So it could very much be like, the formless, right? Just the formless versus the linear and the whatever society expects you to do, right? Like Leo can be this like performance that, yes, maybe it has some substance, but maybe it's just performing to perform, to get likes, to fit in. And with the South Node in Leo, we're going to be purifying the sign. We're going to be getting rid of all the performance, and we're going to get rid of all the like people pleasing. People pleasing more so like, maybe performing something that we don't want to perform, but like we're doing it for the people. Like we're just doing it for the audience. Like it's not for us, and it's not authentic anymore, and it feels stale, and it feels whatever. Like, this dark feminine opposition is asking us to be absolutely and unapologetically ourselves, and to not sweep under the rug our own weirdness and our own like feeling of being othered, because that feeling of being othered can also be used as fuel for our performance. And now when I'm saying performance, I mean we all have a part to play here as who we are in this lifetime, and we are not given a dress rehearsal. Like this is it, y'all. We're all performing every single day, and life is a beautiful dance, and it is a, imperfect yet flawless orchestration of miracles and catastrophes, and we get to decide what's what, and we get to have the we get to decide how we perceive it all, and we also get to decide really who it is we're here to be. Let's not forget that we still have a shadow period of Mercury retrograde. I had some weird things come up on my chart when I pulled up the time. I had to adjust the time, and it still says the North Node is in Pisces, and I'm like, I don't get it. Yeah, so my software was being weird, and I'm using just AstroSeek. So if you are an astrologer watching this video, if you have any recommendations for me, I know about Nechepso already, and I'm thinking that's probably what I'm going to use, but if I can get any other recommendations, because right now that's the only one I know about. But that's the one that my teacher uses. Anyways, my teacher is Nightlight Astrology Adam L. Moss. Shout out. And he does everyday videos, so I'll link him below for anyone who is into this stuff. Let's move on. Mercury is still at 17 degrees of Cancer, okay? And it did go out of retrograde, but we are still in the shadow phase until August 6th. So I'm struggling to speak because I have a giant gash on my face, if that wasn't obvious. I was really debating on whether to cover it or not for this video, and I decided that I was going to bear my shadow and my shame and my bear my shit, this is my truth, and this is my shadow, and this is something that I think was very much in alignment with what this energy of the full moon is already, and continues to be, and that's big wake-up calls, and that's big Pluto energy, Pluto rules over death, and we could be really coming face to face with our own mortality in order to come back to our center and remember why we were here, and remember why, what our dance is, and what our art is, and what our shine is. What our Leo shine is. And we're letting go of any stories that we're telling ourselves about it not being good enough, and about us needing to play small while we do it. And any of those stories, all of that is being purified by the South Node. And Jupiter in Leo is reminding us that anything is possible, and that we create our own reality, and that we are responsible for our beliefs, and any beliefs that are standing in the way of us being able to shine and live our fullest life and embody our fullest self are being purified and purged away right now, and we're being able to reconnect with that true archetype of Leo, that true king of, a heart-led king who the people love him, and he is just, and he is good, and he is kind, and he is, just, I just saw the Odyssey, guys, and I, literally just got back from it a couple of hours ago, and it's so beautiful. First of all, go see it right now. Go see it in IMAX, and, think about the Leo archetype when you think about the character Odysseus, because he is so that. And he's not what most people, I think, would really typically look at and say, yeah, that character's a Leo. Like, no. He's not arrogant. He's not in his ego. He's a leader that is so good that even after 20 years, he still had people devoted to him. And he still had, just more of what this quality, like this Leo quality, which is just like this like strength of character, strength of like, when someone's a really beautiful performer, and I'm using the word performer in a way of like, when someone is just really good at what they do, they are almost like a performer, right? Even what in anything we do, and that's so captivating. And you know that they've taken the time and they've dedicated and they've taken that time, right? Like to cultivate their skill and to cultivate something over time that took a long time to perfect, right? I think the movie's really perfect for the time that we're in right now, because it's about this crazy trip that, they take, and there are all these different trials and tribulations, and there's all this like testing of whether or not people are gonna drop their morality or not in the tests, in the tests of whatever happens to them. And there's this moment at the end of the movie where this last frame in the movie is just this flaming horse, right? And what year are we in? The fire horse? Fire horse, yeah. Okay, so that's the very last frame, and he says something along the lines of, and in time, again, all will be forgiven. Yet again. And that's kind of what this nodal shift feels like to me. I feel like it's in the fire horse too, it's like burning down everything that's come before, and anything that was still blocking the new earth in the new age of Aquarius to come forth, right? This full moon is such a beautiful moment of showing us how new earth is being born. But also it's very painful, and it's very, we got a lot of stuff to deal with first. And that's the Pluto. Like, that's the stuff that we avoid, the stuff that we shove in the closet and we push down, and we just are like, yeah, we'll deal with that. Never. And, there's so much corruption, and we don't have to get into all these different examples, but I think a lot of corruption dealing with technology and with AI and with psyops, right? Because Aquarius is kind of like this, like, mind games. That's more so like Uranus and Gemini for sure, and since that is part of the Barbo's basket, there's definitely a lot of mind game stuff coming to the surface. And we're being shown, right, because it is that Uranus is still sextile to Pluto. We're being shown where there's been a lot of psyops going on in the collective, and the false information is falling away, the false prophets are falling away. People who never maybe thought that they could think for themselves are now starting to think for themselves and wake up and questioning just leaders in general. And I think with Jupiter there, it's like belief systems, especially, religion and such could definitely be coming up. I think religion is more so a Sagittarius theme, but so maybe not. But of course, we all have to look at where we have Leo and where we have Aquarius in our charts and check out what house number that is. And if you would like a reading, I'm available. And I am super, super stoked about this full moon, but also, I already fucked my face up. So be careful out there. Like, seriously, this is not a joke. there could be wake-up calls around, like, how far you've gone. Like, how far you've drifted away from your heart. How far you've drifted away from your passion, your love, your art, whatever it is. Huh? Isn't that funny that the word art is in the word heart? Just cool. And yeah, maybe there's been a lot of things that we've been doing to deal with how disconnected we've been feeling, and that's the wake up call that we're having, or that's the Pluto moment that we're having. And I want everyone to be safe and everyone to be healthy. But there is a very strong masculine versus feminine, so maybe relationship stuff is going on right now. I would say it's more so working on a collective level with the archetypes, but it could be anything. Again, look at your houses. It could be happening in your relationship houses, but I say this with Aquarius and Leo being more of a collective thing, and yes, we know that's happening. Masculine versus feminine tension is very high. But then even closer with the personal planets, we have Venus squaring Mars. Venus in Virgo, she's debilitated, she's fucking... she's OCD, she's overthinking, she's whatever, she's self-loathing, like, she could be really mentally going through it. And then Mars in Gemini is like fucking ADHD, can't get shit done. And maybe just, like, saying a lot of stuff, but, like, not having substance to follow through and not having the action to follow through. And, like, it's not a good look, y'all. So let's really just keep all of this in mind as we move forward. I got my star candle here, y'all. And so the tarot card that represents Aquarius is the star. And this is what I was going to get into earlier about the 666, actually, because... what is a star? A star is something that lights up the night sky. Lights up the darkness. Leo and the sun is shining the light, yes. We know this. Aquarius is a very dark sign. It's a very dark time of the year. And so there's a darkness to it, and there is a also bringing an illumination, right? And an enlightenment aspect to Aquarius, because it can be associated with Kundalini awakenings. And like I said, awakening your psychic abilities. That's kind of where I think a lot of us are at. We're going to start to just really start to notice all these things waking up and coming online, these ancient technologies that help us to shine our light, that are needed, right, in order for us to fully shine our light more. And then... you know, there's this shining of the light in Leo and the sun. And then there's the star in Aquarius, Pluto, the devil, or Lucifer even. Lucifer meaning light bringer. That's the name. And, you know, Lucifer gets a bad rap because he is demonized by Christianity. Well, I'm kind of at the point where anybody who's been demonized by Christianity, I kind of am homies with at this point. Like, I'm not here to say I'm a devil worshiper or anything, but I think they did that guy dirty, and he was just here to try to help humanity become enlightened. He's like Perseus, right? Like the guy who brought fire to humanity. Is that the one? And he's like that. And so, like, we don't demonize him, but poor guy, he got his liver repeatedly eaten out. I think that's what happened to him. He got, like, damned to exile on a side of a cliff or something, where a bird comes and eats his liver out every single day or something like that. It's sort of freaking horrible. And then the devil, we already know what happened to him. He got scapegoated forever. He's everybody's worst enemy. He's everybody's number one hit guy. He's everyone's guy that they blame for everything. And what is that, right? Like, that's avoiding accountability. Aquarius is very much known for avoidance and being distant and cold and disconnected from emotions. While meanwhile, Leo is the heart, and it's the need to be seen and need to shine. And I don't know, man. I just am at the point where I thought that the star, like, I really had that come through strong, where I was like, this is 666, Pluto's here, the star, Lucifer, Lightbringer, like, all the shit. I don't know. But we do know that Christianity is bogus. So there's that. We know that Christianity is the guise that patriarchy used to colonize and to displace and murder and whatever the freaking heck else. And that's not cool. And we gotta deal with that. What are we gonna do about that? Like, we still have yet to reckon, right? This reckoning. And there are so many different reckonings that are overdue. I'm not going to name them all. But I will tell you that this energy of this past week and everything that's gone on, I have done my fair share of complaining about all the different reparations that are needed for not just me, but for the earth, for children, for animals, for black people, for queers, for everyone who has been marginalized in this world, that we continue to treat less than they deserve, you know? And it is so hard to reckon with that in your own right, because that's why we're all disassociating. We don't want to come to terms with how bad it is right now. But, you know, it's really crazy to open up your phone every single day and to, like, see all these different, like, endangered species, like, more endangered species that are becoming more at risk because of this signed petition, or, you know, this waterway is now at risk of being drilled, or whatever, like, this. It's just every day, and we know that. And so, like I said, I'm not going to go all into it, but I am going to remind us, too, that this is all just pushing us to a point, right? A breakthrough. And I hope that this full moon gives us some relief. Because what happens when the levee breaks? The flood comes. And the flood is released, right? And that takes some time to dissipate. It takes some time to flow on. But once it's flown on, there is relief. So in true Mercury retrograde fashion, I recorded the end of this video and it did not save, but I did go ahead and pick a rune and card for us. The rune is Thurisas, which is giant, thorn, and danger. And so this is like, you know, it's actually even in like kind of the shape of a pea. And like, you know, like Pluto, man, he's just a little guy, but he is not to be overlooked, and he is not to be sugar-coated and not to be taken lightly, because sometimes we have to hit rock bottom to have a breakthrough, and there could be some of that energy going on. It could be some big wake-up calls. And then the giant part, it says giant, and Jupiter is the largest planet in the solar system, so he's hanging out there. He is also very much associated with protection, because he takes a lot of hits from asteroids that are out in space, and they would probably hit Earth if not for Jupiter being there. So there's this protection aspect to it. But also, knowing that we are protected, but we also really should bring our cosmic umbrella when we know that the weather is going to be a little, you know, questionable. And I think, you know, it's always up to us with astrology whether or not we're going to take the red pill or the blue pill, and we are now armed with information and we know that cosmic weather that's going to be occurring, so we can be prepared and we can act accordingly. But we also, might be dealing with a lot of our fears coming to the surface right now. So if we are someone who is living in fear, that could be the breakthrough that we're having too, is like realizing where we're so stuck in fear. And that could have been what the Mercury retrograde in Cancer was showing us too, because Cancer has this deep fear as well, because it's very vulnerable to come out of your shell and to be open and to ask for connection, right? Because that's what Cancer wants, is connection. So anyways, there could be a lot of fear around connecting, a lot of fear around the future, a lot of fear around a lot of things. There's plenty of reasons to be afraid and to be worried, but let's really try to focus on just, again, still coming back to the heart, coming back to that Leo new moon, which is what we're going to be working towards for the next 2 weeks. So hopefully over the next 2 weeks we've had our awakening moment where we come back to what's most important, like what our purpose here is, like if we even have what anyone wants to call a purpose. But I think, Aquarius really just asks us to be okay in the unknown and to realize that that is so exciting as well, right? Knowing that we don't know what's going to come. We don't know what's going to happen with the AI. We don't know what's going to happen with the aliens. We don't know what's going to happen with the world leaders. But it's, it's also very scary, and it's also kind of just crazy to think about how we are here, where we are at this point in humanity. And we're at a turning point. We're at a very tumultuous time energetically, so we all need to be grounding, doing our rituals and doing our practices to keep us grounded, because there is no Earth in this chart besides that Virgo Venus, and like I said, Venus is not happy there. She can be very prone to neurosis there, and she that's the only Earth we have besides Chiron in Taurus at 0 degrees, right? But Chiron in Taurus, the sign of Taurus, is very much going through like a healing thing, right? Because it just had Uranus in its sign for the past 7 years, Taurus did, shaking up our instability, shaking up and reawakening us to what that archetype is, right? Abundance, earth energy, earth goddess, and love in relationships as well, our senses, the body. And now we're having Chiron come in to clean up the mess that Uranus made and hopefully heal all that stuff around what's going on with our bodies, with our self-worth, with our money problems, with our this and that. So I would say do some extra grounding around this time, especially, in general, I would say any moon in air, you would want to do extra grounding. So there's that. We'll go ahead and pull our card, which, like I said, I already pulled it, so I'm not cheating. I promise I did it real in the beginning. Rest and rejuvenation is the card, except for it was reversed, which is saying to us that it's a very busy time right now. And yes, there's a lot of connections, there's a lot of networking, there's a lot of Uranus, Gemini communications, lots of networking with technology, Aquarius, and so it's a lot. And we're being asked to really shine more, right? Because the world needs more of our light right now, and that takes a lot of energy, and that can sometimes lead to burnout. So we just want to make sure and continue to refill our cup when we are in these crazy busy times, because it's going to be crazy. We're in the year of the fire horse, for crying out loud. And so, yeah, I don't want to tell you to do any specific rituals. I want you to think outside the box for yourself, because that's what Aquarius would want you to do. But if you are curious about what I'm going to do, I have my star candle here, and I have my virtual bath that I'm going to do, and I have, like, I just want to, like, throw paint at a canvas and do some, like, chaos art, or do some, like, um, even more like a performance art too. Like, I've been thinking more about doing more like public performances, and that would be, you know, more so like of a political type of art performance. But, you know, just whatever you feel you need to do right now. You might be feeling extra revolutionary with this full moon in Aquarius. I've just been straight up, like, going over it all in my head, and, like I said, complaining way too much, but going over all the stuff that has been at bay for a while, that is still yet waiting to be dealt with, coming up, addressing it, reestablishing, like, yeah, we still haven't dealt with this. So I think in these moments of stillness and in these moments of the in between, that's when we deal with our own stuff. But there's still accountability out there. So we could be really feeling like we need that accountability from the outside, from our leaders. So whatever you do, if you are looking for a reading, I'm here to help and guide and to assist in any way that I can. Message me for a reading, or go to the link in my bio and find my email. We'll go ahead and close it here, but I really just one more time want to emphasize that this is not a full moon to be taken lightly. And let it be a moment of catharsis and release and awakening that propels us forward into the new earth that we are all working towards together. I'll see you in 2 weeks for our new moon in Leo, and see you then.